from here on out, if you have any questions about what you just heard or any other questions that our team can try to answer for you guys, this is a great time to be able to do it. You can either put stuff in the chat, or if you actually raise your hand in the interface too, we can turn on your microphone. So it's completely up to you guys. We're at that point. It's question and answer for you guys. The sessions we just heard, or anything over the last couple of days, or anything that's just kind of, you guys are still interested in. Becky said, where will the recordings of the sessions be posted? So what we're going to do is, if you remember what the agenda looks like, our plan today is to post a page that's very similar to the layout of the agenda. And next to each session, we'll have a link to the PowerPoint, and we'll have a link to the recording. Right now, we've got a recording completed all day yesterday, and we need to go in and chop it up and kind of get rid of the dead air and the breaks and stuff like that. And we'll do the same thing tomorrow. And our intent is to take the big recordings and break each one down into a session, so that you don't have to listen to the whole thing. When you want to hear Margie and Katasha's session, you can just click on that. And they're all going to be posted on our OEM website. We'll make a sub-site that'll be available, a sub-page that'll be available there, and you'll be able to access those resources. They won't be on the shared directory. They won't be. You won't have to have access to DOT to have access to it. You just have to have access to the internet.
Hey, Pete, this is Maria. I'm going to try to address a question from yesterday on project status that we didn't really have the chance to get back to that question. I believe the question was to provide an example of project status. And yep. In general, I'm just going to provide a general description of what entails the project status. It basically describes the actions and the history of the actions of the project, and this can include measures taken to date. It can include agencies involved, other actions, funding schedules, and those type of things. And also, it can provide description or updates on related projects within the study area. So I hope that helps explain better what project status is or what's expected of it. And if anybody else from our team would like to chime in, please.
And you did get a response from Jaslyn. She said that was very helpful.
Awesome, thank you. I'm glad.
Great, and we did get a question from Brian, so one of the engineers, if you guys can get this one. The question was, probably discussed when I was out at a meeting, but what is the final decision on air quality analysis? Do we still have to do the report, or will we have a standard statement to add? Mike, are you on? Maria, Mike might have stepped away. Do you mind taking that?
Here.
Oh, okay, Mike.
Yeah, I'm here.
Great.
Sorry, I was having trouble finding my unmute button. Okay,
I got you. Did you hear the question, or you want me to repeat it?
No, I heard the question.
Cool.
So yeah, it just depends on the project. Sometimes you will have to do an analysis, like the screening. I think there was, I off the top of my head, I have to go back and read. But there was like 2 instances for a SEER where you'd have to do that screening, and then I'm not sure about what level you're asking about the air quality analysis, though. Let me pull that up real fast.
We could
Brian
unmute,
has raised his hand, so I could unmute him.
Yeah, go ahead. Great.
Brian, oh, good, you noticed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I thought there was be some rewriting of the manual again for the air quality, where basically we I'll say virtually don't have to do anything for the air quality analysis. It was just kind of standard statements because we're I always get this backwards, the non-attainment or attainment.
We're in attainment.
The good,
Yeah.
the good side of it.
Right.
That we basically that's going to be eliminated, kind of semi-eliminated. I think Doug, I know I've had conversations with Doug about that too. We have to keep going back and looking at the manual for that update if that was occurring.
Hey, Brian, this is Maria. There are some updates that we still need to look into to incorporate for the next round. And we need to determine whether they need to be implemented immediately, and if so, we would do a bulletin. But I'm looking at the chapter, and there's several instances where we state that an analysis wouldn't be included, but this is, for example, is it the carbon monoxide? It's
Yeah,
only
there's
required for federal.
3 or 4. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 little
Yes, exactly.
checks to do.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think we can have like an umbrella statement saying that the analysis is just not required. I couldn't make that statement right now.
Okay, but it sounds like it's still potentially in the works.
In
Conversation.
We're still looking into it, and it depends. We're still looking into it. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying, like I said, giving an umbrella statement right now.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
And Pete, I see that Henry has his hand up as well.
Perfect.
So
Yeah, let's
I
have Henry.
unmute him. Yeah, there, Henry. Oops. You should
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the training, all of you. No, just for this air quality, we just pick one intersection and evaluate it. This is just a minor evaluation. It doesn't take much. It's just one page. Doesn't require any report or anything like that. It's just pick up the worst intersection and do a minor evaluation. So that's what we're doing right now. I don't know if that's going to change, but that's not going to make a big difference.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, currently the manual states that an extensive report wouldn't be necessary. It's more like some set of statements or a memorandum, rather.
Yeah, usually it's a one page with a checklist and a memo with that.
Yeah.
So it's not.
But it doesn't require a statement, say like the noise, the traffic noise, right?
No,
That's
no,
definitely.
no. I don't think it is.
No, exactly.
It's not related to noise. It's related to the worst case intersection that is within the project.
And I think Doug has something to add as well. So, Doug, you should be unmuted.
Thanks. Just to address this issue a little more, I know I had some involvement with, I think Maria was involved, and also Mariano Barrios when he was still there. We were making some edits to Chapter 19, the air quality chapter of the PD&E manual, and I think the philosophy was that we use the Florida CO Florida 2012 model, and it never ever shows an exceedance of the air standards, and so there was some thinking behind it whether it made sense to require a screening even to be done on a lot of projects if they were not controversial projects or if they didn't have unusual traffic circumstances. And so I know OEM has been working on updating Chapter 19. I don't think this has been fully implemented yet, but it may be that we basically can kind of write off the CO part of the air anyway, just because of just because of what I just said. It's it's an effort that doesn't really provide any value. So I know, like I said, I know OEM is tweaking it, and so
Right,
that's still under review.
Plus, Doug, and I appreciate I don't know if the feedback coming from me. I appreciate the input. We're looking also into the need for updating CO Florida 2012, and if you look at the manual, it takes you back to certain conditions that need to be met to include some sort of analysis in the form of a memorandum. So it's still in the works. So we can always come back to you guys, and of course this would be communicated to the district if one way or the other.
Great, and I'm seeing another hand, Teresa.
Sounds good.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks again for the training. So I had asked a question yesterday regarding when we're going through the process, you know, ETDM, and if you've got conflicting, I don't want to say conflicting, but competing input from partners, and it wasn't, I guess I want to understand the process as far as when we're going through everything and documenting everything. Would it be then through the PD&E that we would kind of work that out and figure out what a solution is? Like, that's what I was trying to, I guess, make sure, piecing everything together and how you resolve and get to that working solution. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding, you know, how everything is working together, because it's a lot.
Yeah, there's always a lot.
Sense, if that question makes, hopefully that made sense, what I'm trying to ask.
Okay, let me see if I can give you an answer. So within the screening event itself, you know, you have lots of agencies, and a lot of those agencies will have overlapping concerns tied to specific resources. And based on their unique perspective tied to the resource that's being evaluated, they may have a different understanding of, or they might have a different interpretation of the potential level of impact. So when we have like a wetlands issue, and we've got potentially 5 agencies that are all commenting on wetlands, they may comment on wetlands in a very different way. So first, we have expertise, and we know what we're trying to build, and we know what we potentially might come in contact with, and we know what we are probably going to avoid. And we do that preliminary environmental discussion. That is our way to share with them, you know, what we see out there in regards to wetlands as a resource and what we intend to do to address it. Then we can have all of those various agencies respond back with what their concerns are. At the end of the review, we're doing a summary degree of effect, which is our interpretation about what we already know, plus what they already said. Now, if they all disagree on stuff, you know, somebody says it's a substantial impact, somebody else says it's a minor impact and stuff, you really just need to look and see what all of them have said. If they pick something as a red flag, then that's probably time to go have some coordination with that agency to make sure you understand sort of what their issue is. You don't have to resolve anything in ETDM per se. You just want to make sure you're having the conversations with those agencies, because ultimately your summary degree of effect should reflect what the department thinks based on what we know, our own expertise, plus all the things that we've come in contact with. And if an agency happens to do a red flag, let's make sure we're coordinating with them up front. One of the things we recognize when an agency does a red flag, we have kind of 2 different school of thought out there among the agencies. We've got agencies that will never do a red flag because they know that issue can always get avoided, minimized, or mitigated at some points. They're never going to give you a red flag because they know it's never going to stop the project. And then we have a couple of agencies that are going to give you a red flag because they're trying to get your attention. And that's not necessarily helpful. What we need to do is understand what is their issue. And really, when we get into the PD&E and we're doing the detailed evaluation, because in ETDM, this is where things might go. It might be there. It might, you know, we're not doing the level of analysis that can really support whether or not we're going to have the perceived impact that they're worried about. So a lot of times what we'll tell them is that we agree we're going to study that in detail as we move into the PD&E, and we'll come back to you when we have some additional details that'll help us through that decision-making process. Does that answer it for you, Teresa?
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions out there for anybody?
I'm not seeing any more hands raised.
Yeah, this is Henry. I just want to clarify the previous question that related to the public hearings for design projects. We don't do a public hearing for every design project that we have. We just do it for whenever we have a modification of the access modification. Can be median or it can be a new interchange that it was not presented at the public PD&E public hearing, and also if there is a drastic change to the PD&E study. That's when the cases when we go into the design phase and we do a public hearing.
I think that's a good clarification. Thank you, Henry. Anything else out there for you guys?
Oh, Jaslyn just raised her hand.
Sure.
There, you should be unmuted now.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. So I asked the question when Rusty was speaking, and she mentioned that revised guidance is coming. So I asked that question, and then she clarified that it was just based on the feedback they're getting. So it's safe to go ahead and start planning according to the guidance because there's nothing drastic. There's no drastic changes coming, right?
Yeah, that's what I understand from that conversation as well. And the other thing I would say is that if you have questions, reach out to Rusty.
Will do. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody got anything else? Anything good for the group while we're still together? All right. Well, you guys know how to get a hold of us. You know, you can reach everybody. And I wanted to take this opportunity to also just make sure I thanked all the presenters. This all got pulled together. If you guys remember, we were going to be on site with you guys multiple times, and then all this pandemic stuff happened, and we had to kind of shift gears and, you know, move to this virtual implementation. Hopefully you guys were very appreciative of the virtual implementation, but and we gave you guys great information. And it was great because we were able to record it, or it'll be future resources for you. But I really wanted to thank, you know, Margie and Katasha, Maria and Tu and Christine and Mike and Ruth. I mean, the whole entire team. Rusty, did I forget anybody?
Matt.
And Matt, yes, and Matt, thank you. I wanted to thank all of these guys because really we're all doing 1,000 things, and they stopped what they were doing to kind of pull all this stuff together and participate in this session. And I think it was wildly successful. Hopefully you guys appreciate it, but I wanted to extend my appreciation to them for really coming together and delivering a great training, one that will continue to be a resource for you guys in the future. So I think with that being said, we're all done here. We wish you guys all very well. As soon as that information's all online, we'll send out links that you have access to it. And if you got any follow-up questions, reach out to any one of us. We're all happy to help you guys with anything at any time.
Thank you, Pete. And I, on behalf also of the Turnpike, I just want to thank the OEM team for helping us with this. It was very professional and it was clear, a very good presentation. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your help with this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Henry. We really appreciate the kind words. That's wonderful. All right, well, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to y'all later.
You too. Bye now.